Hello everyone and welcome to JAMnBreadGames, and in this video I wanted to play through the Final Fantasy 15 demo and see how much of it you can actually play in first person. So I actually filmed some of this before, but my recording software has been a little sketchy, so I had to kind of like mess around with some settings to make sure it works. So hopefully this will look better. But yeah, so what we're going to do, like I said, we're going to start the demo on the Steam demo and see how much of the game we can actually play in first person. So the bad thing about this game is that a lot of it, like there's this new feature to where you can play the game in first person, which is great, but you are actually not really allowed to play a lot of sections in first person. So this is the beginning of the demo, and already I can't switch to first person. So you have to kind of like go through this whole section in third person, which is fine. But it would be nice to be able to have the option to be able to play in first person for a majority of the game. Obviously, for cutscenes like this, I understand, like you can't play first person all the time, obviously. But it is kind of disappointing, unfortunately. So, like I said, I thought I would just kind of go through the demo, which is about 2 hours or so, and see how many times I can actually play in first person and if it's limiting or if it isn't limiting. So just kind of see what's up with it. So that's the intro of the game right there. You have to play it in third person, but it's very short. It's not a huge deal. And then obviously it goes to a pre-recorded kind of cinematic cutscene, which obviously isn't in first person, which is completely fine. So we will pick up in the next part of the game. Okay, so we're back in the game. So again, another kind of cutscene, kind of cinematic looking cutscene, which goes into the game, which again, like I said, I completely understand that a lot of these moments are, obviously not in first person for a cinematic effect. It's completely fine. It looks awesome. So the game starts with you pushing the car, and again, unfortunately, you can't play this in first person either. I can kind of forgive it though, because it's more of a cinematic moment again, but it would be kind of interesting though if you could be in first person. You kind of like look over at the other guys as you're pushing the car, could be kind of cool. Especially if you want to have that kind of experience. Like obviously the game wants you to play in third person, that's why the game was made in third person, but since they added it to the game, I think it would have been cool if they would have allowed for first person to have been integrated into other aspects of the game. So unfortunately, it's not available here. So yeah, let's see where else it can apply or can't apply. So after some more cutscenes, we're kind of back into the game here. So it cuts from that kind of faux cutscene straight into the gameplay, and then you have the option to go into first person. So yeah, this is what it looks like, by the way. It looks awesome. It's super atmospheric to be able to play the game in first person. I think that it's a great addition to Final Fantasy 15. But that happens, stuff like that. It knocks you back to third person, then into a cutscene that, kind of changes camera views and stuff, which is fine. But imagine if it took like a Skyrim approach, and where, see, now we're back to third person, back to first person. Super jarring, super weird feeling. I hate that. Imagine if, like, say you have, like you want to talk to someone, so you walk up to Cindy and you talk, and then it stays like this, this kind of like first person perspective. Maybe the camera would take over, and as they're talking, as a partner in your group talks, the camera like shifts over to Ignis, and then it shifts back over, like there's Cindy, shifts to Ignis as he says something, shifts back. I think something like that could be done really effectively. But just kind of like gameplay wise, playing like this, it's really cool. Like I said, just very atmospheric.
You've got everything here.
It's just so cool, But the bad thing though is a lot of times when you interact with stuff or do other things, it kind of flips back to third person, which is, kind of a shame. So see, third person for this. So like right now, I can't play in first person.
Broken down and flat broke.
And then wait for it. We have the thing we need to do. That's fine. And then back to first person. It's really, it can be really jarring sometimes. Also, one thing I noticed too is the field of view is a little narrow. So I think to be able to adjust it would be nice, but there actually isn't an option to adjust the field of view either. So it kind of stinks. But again, like I was saying, imagine here when you talk, if it stayed in first person, but it switches to third person and then kind of shifts to this look as well. Which again, I understand being able to talk and the camera view to kind of move around, but imagine, you know, being able to like look in first person. Right now I'd look over to whoever, to Gladio. So I'd look over at Gladio, then look back to Cindy. You know, I think that could be kind of cinematic and kind of cool and very immersive, which I think is why a first person mode should be utilized in a game like this, is for immersion. So unfortunately, it doesn't really work all the time, so oh well. But let's see where else it can kind of come into play. Bang. Super strange. So yeah, let's just let's kind of continue on. I'm probably going to just end it in a little bit. I have done some kind of testing with this before, and there's also a few other areas. Now combat is another thing, where just playing in first person isn't as nice as it should be. So you can do these attacks like this, and it's fine whenever you're just kind of like one-on-one, but a lot of combat in Final Fantasy 15 is with large groups of enemies. And see, the problem right here is there's an enemy behind me, but I can't see them because they're behind me, whereas if I played in third person, I would actually be able to see them. So you're kind of at a disadvantage like that, so you have to be really careful. Against this, like these kind of looks here too, which it's nice to be able to see the entire landscape, but to be able to have, imagine like if the camera in first person, and then I'm watching them talk, and you know, and then maybe like you could like look up like this, you know, it just would be super immersive. But unfortunately, it's not quite immersive. Now, again, just like roaming around and looking around like this, it's really cool, you know, to look over at your buddies and stuff, and to be able to kind of like, you know, look behind you as you're running. It's really cool and really interesting. But again, there's just, unfortunately, there's a lot of areas that just don't really benefit, I guess, and the first person is either a detriment or it's not really included in a good way that makes a lot of sense. So again, combat, if you're up against more than one person, it's like really confusing. Sometimes too, he'll just start attacking. See, like that's what a parry looks like. Like it's super strange. Then blindside Link, see, it actually switches to a third-person view, unfortunately. Then back into first person. It's kind of like, it's kind of, I don't want to say sickening, but it's very strange to go, you know, back and forth so fast between first and third person perspective. Like it can be very like, just kind of, I don't know. It just, it's very jarring to kind of, you know, like okay, I'm in first person, I'm doing my thing, blah blah blah, but then all of a sudden it like cuts to third person, it cuts back. You know, it can be kind of sickening at times almost. It's like if you have motion sickness, it's not really a pleasant feeling. We can fight some more guys up ahead, and I think it also demonstrates it better because these guys are fairly easy, so it's not a huge problem. Oh, warp attack, my friend. What's happening? Why can't I warp? Oh, that was weird. But yeah, it's it can be kind of strange. Also too, it's the blocking is see, like that Link strike is actually it stays in first person for some reason. I'm not quite sure why it does that. But yeah, anyway, it's I think like this looks pretty cool, but it's also kind of odd because see, like I said, he'll kind of just start attacking people. You're not quite sure where it is, and also the blade is just kind of moving around like crazy, so you don't really know when he's attacking exactly. So it's kind of hard to know when to dodge. It's just kind of odd. And again, it switches back to third person for these cutscenes. You know, like these mini cutscenes, which I think could look pretty cool if they just stayed in first person. Again, like this, we're in third person, and then it'll just go straight to first person. So it's kind of unfortunate. And
What's he say? Needs us.
Now this area is a good example of how the first person doesn't really work.
What's this?
So again, it switches back to third person, but there's this cool moment where you turn around, there's enemies here, but like again, this would be really cool to see this in first person mode, you know, like that'd be really cool. Third person, straight into first person, you know, kind of odd, and then like this, like you're being like thrown around on the ground and stuff, but like where am I blocking? Like who am I supposed to be blocking from? Who am I supposed to be attacking? Like it's so close quarters. That guy was behind me and attacked me. You know, it's like, what am I like? See, there's someone behind me again. I can't see them though because I'm in first person. You know, why am I so close to the ground? I feel like I'm like really short. Very strange.
Good to go.
And then back to third person because it's pointing me somewhere. Which again, you could do that in first person. But again, my point with all that is obviously they're just kind of throwing in a first person mechanic. Why are you up there? What are you doing? You're gonna hurt yourself. They're throwing in a first person mechanic and it doesn't always work. Let's see if this messes up here. So see, you pick something up, boom, like it switches back and forth. You pick something up in third person, straight to first person. Let's see what it does again. So yeah, so that mechanic, which isn't necessary and doesn't always happen. When you pick up random items in the world, it actually doesn't do that mechanic of you bending down to pick it up. So for whatever reason, there's a mechanic whenever you bend down, but it's kind of, you know, like for some reason though, because it does that, it throws you out of it. It's super strange. Let's see. I think Ignis says something. Yeah, here. So see, for some reason we're in a bush. But this is cool because see, it stays in first person. He's kind of like, you know, has a strategy or something. Like I like that. It keeps you in first person. I can't move right now. I'm fine with that though because it's more cinematic this way. So it's really I like those things are actually pretty interesting. And I wish that the camera was kind of reworked to be able to do that. Now I guess you could use. See, like, I'm attacking this guy. Like, how? Like, I didn't even know I was attacking that guy. Whoa, now who am I attacking? I'm attacking this guy now. Like, I wasn't even looking at this guy. And I guess you could look at the mini-map to see if someone's attacking you. But then, again, that breaks the immersion because you're always looking up at the stinking mini-map, you know? Rather than, you know, looking at the game in front of you. Also, is it just me or do I just feel really short? It feels very strange. I feel like the camera needs to be... Like, here's third person. I switched right there, by the way. It would probably had switched anyway. But, like, I don't know. It just feels like super short for some reason. I don't know. It's very strange. And again, these are in-engine cutscenes anyway. So, sometimes, like, Noctis will just kind of, like, be looking around or doing random things. So, like, to have it in first person, I think would be completely fine. It'd be really interesting if it allowed you to do that. And again, for a moment like this...
Tell us where to go.
Where my buddy's talking, I don't actually even see him in the cutscene. So it'd be interesting if you had control over the cutscene and could look wherever, or again, if it would act realistically, you know, like it would move itself. So right now I'm in third person, then I can switch back to first person here. But see, look, watch, if I pick that up, which it won't always work for some reason. What is he doing? Oh, probably because I had to do this cutscene, which switches me back to third person again. Yes, thank you. I don't want to go camping. Thank you, though. Whoa, I can see inside my face. Whoa. Look at that. And then it switches me back to first person. Super strange. But see, when I pick random things up like that, it actually doesn't make me do that weird bend down mechanic. So again, there's just these really weird moments that don't really lend themselves well to a first person mode, which really sucks because playing this game in first person is really cool. And I think that's my thing is if you're just running around and exploring, you know, you just kind of want to like get a feel for the game and how, you know, how the world feels, how it looks. Like, I think, you know, just kind of hitting the button going straight. I'm not sure what it'll be like on console, if it'll be on the key, you know, on the keypad, the you know, on the controller. But on PC, it's just on the keyboard that will let you switch to first person. So, you know, I think whenever you go to a new area or you're just exploring, it's really cool to switch to first person mode. So, I think that's probably the best use for it. When you're fighting and doing things like that, you know, not really a good use. And that's the bad thing though, is it's hard to enjoy it whenever it switches you, you know, out of first person so much. It's so like jarring at times, unfortunately. So one thing I wanted to show too are these techniques. So if we do Gladio's technique, so see, we kind of just sit here and watch, and then we attack, and then let's see, I can't do another one for some reason. What? Oh, I was doing a technique there. I wasn't actually aware that I was. So let's see, I'll get Prompto to do his technique. I thought I heard him say something about Prompto, so I guess I was doing it. Then there, I spawned in like behind him. So like I'm attacking in an area I actually wasn't aware of I was attacking. It's like, it can be super strange sometimes. See, again, the blindside links switch to third person. Oh, nice job, you just completely missed, Gladio. So again, this is Gladio's thing. I'm not controlling this right now. And then I left click and I'm, you know, like normal. But it can be kind of disorienting because all of a sudden I'm here. And see, again, because the field of view is so small, I actually can't even see, like I'm just kind of stuck here like staring at like his shoulder. You know, I don't really have a good like view of
We're done here.
the you know, the enemy that I'm fighting. It can be super weird.
Ring, ring.
And it throws you back out to third person again.
Hey, Dave just called and said he's safe. Thanks for finding him.
Ken?
Nice work.
Gladio,
Bill. By the way,
Gladio,
that old girl's
leave me
looking
alone.
good as new.
Stop it.
She'll be waiting at the garage.
Gotcha.
So see, here's another thing where you bend down to pick something up, and then it has to do that weird animation where you know, it pulls you back out of first person mode. Really unfortunate. But I mean, look at it though. I mean, it looks amazing though. Which again is why I say it's a great game to play in first person, because you know, maybe just every once in a while just kind of switching to it just to see what an area looks like. But I don't really think I would recommend playing the entire game in first person mode, unfortunately, because it doesn't really allow you to, as it cuts back to third person.
It's rude to keep a girl waiting. You better apologize. What is that?
Imagine this part in first person, and you're kind of stuck looking at Noctis's face. He's just kind of like, duh.
Hurricane.
Like
That thing's like
if you were in first person there, and then you turn around and there's this giant bird flying to you. Like, imagine how cool that would be. But, you know, like, you're really, like, immersed in the feeling of Final Fantasy. Wait for it. Wait for it. Bloop. Like, imagine if it did that. Like, that would look so amazing. That would be so cool to just, like, all of a sudden you're right there and you see it. Like, that'd be so immersive. It'd be so interesting. But see, this is one of those parts too where like playing in first person is cool, because see, you can go into areas like this and like just look how cool this looks. Like the diner looks so cool, and whoa, stuff is appearing. Ignore that. But you know, like look at this. Like look how cool it looks. It's so cool. And in third person, I'm gonna switch to third person. Like, yeah, it looks awesome in third person, but it's so immersive like this. Like, just like the lighting, the you know, the way everything here looks. You know, you can see like the steam coming off of the food, the detail of the food, you know, all that kind of stuff. It looks so much better here. And if you go to third person, like, yeah, it looks great, but you can't really see it that, you know, up close and personal like that. I mean, like, look at the floor. Like, I never even really looked at the floor before, but you notice it more with, you know, in first person. Like, it's such a great idea. But then you do stuff like this, and you talk to them, and then it switches back. You know, again, it's so, like, it's so close to being a really cool thing, but then it's just held back. So it really sucks. So we're gonna go get the car. Well, that was weird. And let's see. Again, it's probably gonna, you know, throw me out, unfortunately.
Sorry about the wait.
Well, it does, you know, like I said, it does do these cutscenes, which I completely understand. You know, that lighting looks so good. Now here's what happens if you use the regalia.
Time to go.
So you can drive, and again it starts in third person. T adjusts the view. Now thankfully, like, there's this view, but see, it's not actually first person, because there I am. So it's kind of like the camera's to like the side of my head for some reason. It's also kind of slow, like it's really sluggish. So I can't quite like look around that fast like you would normally. So again, this is the closest you can get to a first person
Hammerhead is like no
camera.
garage ever.
But
One would expect
you know, it's
better
like this
assets
kind of
for
like
fans to
rotating
crown.
ball is kind of how it feels.
I'll miss it once
But
this road
you
trip's
know,
over with.
oh well. Third person mode, first person mode, third person mode, third person, first person. But I think you all get the gist. Unfortunately, a lot of things don't, you know, quite work in first person. Again, look. I mean, look at this though.
What about it?
Again, the field of view being wider would make it easier to kind of see everything without, you know, like this is me kind of looking straight. It'd be nice if it were maybe like, you know, able to kind of see that much. I don't know. I feel like that'd be more realistic too. Like it's not quite realistic to see, you know, this narrow field. So to be able to adjust it would be a nice addition. Maybe they'll add it in an update or something. I mean, look at this sky. Like you can appreciate the details so much more. And then obviously, I've always loved the way these diners look, how the lighting contrasts with the outside. But see, the field of view changes on its own like that. Like that's so weird. Like there's certain areas where it'll just like change on its own. It's so strange. So again, it's not really meant for first person, which again is completely fine. It's a third person game, and they added in a first person mode. That's completely fine. But I'd like to check it against, you know, Grand Theft Auto and the games like that, which added in a first person mode later, and then obviously games like Skyrim and such, which you know, have a first person mode built into it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the gist of it. I think overall, like, obviously this game has a place for first person. To be able to see, you know, to be able to go into like new areas like this in first person is so immersive and so cool. But to me, I would much rather just a button to be able to disable the HUD, which unfortunately there's not a button that allows that, which again sucks. So I'll probably make a video kind of just going over everything and my overall thoughts on, you know, like the first person aspects of the game and whatnot. But I think overall it's a really cool idea and a great addition. I'm glad that it's in the game, but I just don't think it's really executed that well, unfortunately. So but I hope you all enjoyed this little video. Just kind of hope it kind of gives you all an idea of how it works in the game, and maybe help you all to see whether or not you want to do it for yourself. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and stay subscribed, or get subscribed if you haven't already, to be notified when I make more videos. I should be discussing Final Fantasy 15 more in the future. And yeah, just thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye guys. Look at that. Look how good that looks. It's so cool.